If your teen has ever found themselves drifting off into the dreaded waffle zone, then you are going to love this week's video. I'm Katie Jones, and this week's question comes from Donna. Donna says, "Hi Katie, here's my question for your weekly video. It would be amazing if you could give any tips on this. My son waffles in his writing, and I'm not sure how to help him be more succinct or make his points clearer. I proofread an essay for him yesterday." Good on you, Mum. "And he kept repeating himself and saying the same thing in different ways. I like kind of going around in circles, but still not really making the key points very clear." She says, "I'm not sure what one of them actually was. And it turned out he wasn't either when I talked to him about it." I'm sure there's lots of us that can raise their hands to that. "I know he needs to improve on this, but I'm not sure how to help him. Do you have any tips?" Of course I do, Donna, and I have specifically picked out this question. So thank you so much for sending it in and sharing it, because I have an extra special something to share with you as well, a little update. So this fits perfectly. Now, first of all, what I want to say is that most students find themselves drifting off into waffle, whether it's in essays or any type of extended response, because they are purely focusing around the topic of the essay or the task. So let's just say in English, it could be that they're having to write about two texts, and they most likely know what the key themes or issues are in those texts, and they want to write everything they know, or at least specific points about what they know about those issues or themes coming through. Likewise, let's say go to the other end of the scale. Let's say it's a science essay. Maybe it's a research essay. And then they have the topic, and let's say it's the topic of the effectiveness of vaccines or the debate around vaccines. That seems to be being said quite a lot at the moment, which is not a surprise because it's fairly topical, isn't it? And they have done all of this research around vaccines, or maybe even a particular disease and a vaccine. And they start kind of writing all about it. And maybe they've even got, some structure. Often it might be like chronological in terms of how they're going into things. Like if it's analyzing the text, they'll sort of talk about what happened in the start and the middle and the end. But you're absolutely right, Donna. Very often they're not really getting to a specific point. And this is where they get that feedback, which is you haven't really answered the question. Okay, and clearly what you were finding with your son's essay around, in terms of him going around in circles and not quite ever getting to some of the key points. Here's what they need to do. They need to identify not just the topic, and I'm sure that lots of you are now saying, I know what it is. They need to also identify the focus. So let me be very clear and give you some examples. Okay, and then you've guessed it, I'm going to share with you how you can get more information on this and some very specific examples and step by step. Okay, so to identify the focus, let's just say that they are having to analyze two texts in that English essay. What they actually need to be doing is comparing and contrasting. So here is a big tip. So if you've ever thought, oh, I've heard Katie talk about topic and focus before, which you will have done, I hope you have. And if this is the first time you've heard me talk about it, then go back and find other videos where I talk about it, because this is a huge and important point for students. It can be just a game changer for students and how they tackle their essays and the marks that they get in those essays. What any essay that involves two texts is requiring students to do, whether it explicitly says it or not, is asking them to compare and contrast, or really just compare, because compare does mean find similarities and differences. Contrast just means differences. So we only really need the word compare. It's asking them to find similarities and differences. Now, those two texts might be overall similar. So let's just say they'd have two body paragraphs identifying the similarities, whether that's similarities between characters, similarities between themes and issues and perspectives, whatever it might be. And they might then have one body paragraph around differences. Likewise, it could be vice versa. If they went totally down the extreme, that doesn't really tend to happen. They really want to be able to show that they can do both. They want to be able to show that they can find and identify similarities and differences. 2 and 1. So it's almost like if they've ever been taught the yes, yes, but. So yes, this is similar. Yes, this is similar, but this was different. Or yes, this was different. Yes, this was different, but oh, they did have this similarity. Okay, so I hope that helps a little bit in terms of an idea around structure, just in terms of one specific example. Okay, now, of course, that is just one specific example. It's about identifying the focus and then thinking about how they're going to structure that essay in response to that focus. So we talked about it being an analytical essay, we talked about it being 2 texts, and therefore knowing, and this is where the training comes in, of knowing this stuff, that means they need to compare and contrast, and therefore they need to find similarities and differences, and what that is going to do for the structure of their essay. Now, like I said, that is just one example. If you would love to get an insight into this training and more specific examples to be able to either share with your team for you to take on board yourself so you can help your team, or you can just hand it over on a plate and they can have these templates to work through or walk through and be able to apply to their own work, then this is my essay topic and focus swipe file. So it's an essay title swipe file. I've got 5 different essay titles ranging from English to history to science and more. There are 5 essay titles in here. I break them down using the topic and focus 2-step system. That means we do identify the topic, we acknowledge the topic, and then we set it aside and put everything on the focus. And we break down that focus. And then the next step, Donna, once they've identified the focus, the true focus, the thing that the teacher is really looking for them to answer, is to then put in a very clear and structured stepped plan. Now, for many students, that just looks like introduction, 3 body paragraphs, conclusion, and they just put in like a topic, like what their main sort of thing that they're going to discuss is for each body paragraph, their 3 main points. Sometimes it might be 4, but let's say 3. They need to go much further than that with their planning. So I teach all about this in Catapult 9 of the 10-week Grade Transformation Program, Essays Made Easy, and how to plan that out in detail, but without it taking hours, because of course, if they did this in an exam, it needs to be short and sweet, but very precise. They need to identify not just what are their 3 key arguments around the focus, but they also need to know exactly, so what points am I making? What evidence am I going to use to back that up? So that they aren't, as they go through, starting to divert onto different areas or different points. They're not starting to repeat themselves. They're not tempted to use the same piece of evidence twice. They're not discussing that piece of evidence in a way that really relates to another body paragraph, whatever it might be. So here is how anyone, and Donna, surprise, I'm going to send this to you just for sending in such a great question. Here is how you can get your hands on this essay title swipe file, the topic and focus 2-step system, dissected and gone through step by step, how to structure the body paragraphs, and how to plan out a response that actually responds to the focus of that question. Of course, your teen is not going to get the exact real life questions that are in here, but they can see the strategy and the technique behind this. And that's what's going to serve them so they can do it for any essay question they ever face in any subject. The way to get this is, here's the little drum roll, the news flash. The new website for Rock Solid Study is now live. It is at www.rocksolidstudy.com. And of course, if you have any feedback, then please send it to me. I would love to hear it. Good, bad, ugly, amazing. I would love to hear your feedback. But what I would love most of all is to be able to share this information and all of the tips and the concepts and what is really going on behind the scenes of study for students and how parents can help their teens with that to as many parents as possible. So if you share, and you can share any page, so if there's one page that you think will be more interesting to people, like for example, there is a success stories page and a case studies page there, you may share that if you want to. If you feel like that would be most interesting to your friends and family, share it on Facebook, www.rocksolidstudy.com. Take a screenshot of your share on social, screenshot it, and then just send that screenshot in an email to support@rocksolidstudy.com. And we will say thank you and send you a copy of this essay title swipe file for you and your teen, absolutely free. Our gift to you for getting the word out there more widely. So if you would like a copy of the essay title swipe file with 5 different real life essays across a variety of subjects, broken down using the topic and focus 2-step system, then please go over, check out the new website. Share the web link for the website on Facebook. Take a screenshot, email the screenshot to support@rocksolidstudy.com, and we will email you back with a copy of the topic and focus essay title swipe file for you to keep. So, Donna, I hope that helps answer your question. It's all about getting to the focus and then making a very clear plan, which is orientated around that focus. That's how we stop going into the waffle zone. And congratulations on earning yourself a copy of the essay title swipe file. And for everyone else, I hope to see some of your screenshots rolling in. I hope that these tips have been really useful to you. And I will see you back here again next week. Go to the website, check it out, and get the free guide for sharing the website. I'll see you very soon. Thanks so much. See you then. Bye.